You gotta stop playing that Gordon Lightfoot in the car. It's been going around for a long time now. Gotta put a new disc on.
No, I've changed more.
All of the songs sound exactly the same. They just spin around in my head. And then this is what I have in my head all the time. You can go ahead and eat. I'm just going to talk about... Oh, do you want to talk about the Beastie Boys thing first? The Beastie Boys book?
That was what it was called.
I think that's what it was called.
So, pretty good book. Should have had more captions in it. Lots of photos. But there's a lot of text to it, too. It's over 500 pages. Big format. So I only got through about 100 pages of text. And I went through all the pictures and stuff like that. Not that they were the most photogenic group in the world. They weren't the least photogenic group in the world. I think the Rolling Stones, by times, have filled that capacity. But pretty good book. I think they were more interesting maybe in what they did than their origins. I mean, they're just a couple of three guys from Brooklyn. Kind of middle-class lives. I think they tried to make the stuff more exciting than it really had to be, but so it goes. I think the Butthole Surfers were kind of like that too. So. Came from New York. Did you know that? Yeah. Well, at least they hung around there. I don't know where they came from originally. Anyway, recommended reading, probably only for people who are interested in their music. Generally, it's like a lot of trivia about, what they were doing when they were punks and stuff like that. Literally punks. I think they're more punk than anything else.
So I just put some soup in James's pumpkin.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't finished eating his pumpkin yet.
Yeah. The pumpkin's going to wilt. The soup is... Anyway.
And he's eating some cauliflower on the side that I roasted in the oven.
Yeah, roasting cauliflower. It probably takes a lot of the goodies out.
I don't know.
But it kind of makes it... that way you don't have to eat it with cheese or something like that. Because it's pretty bland otherwise, right? But what I was thinking is it might go well with nuts. What do you think? Nuts and cauliflower?
Well, I can make you vegan cheesy sauce with the nuts. To go with it.
There we go.
With the nutritional yeast and cashews or whatever.
Yeah.
You just soak cashews and then you whir them up in the food processor. Well, you drain them.
Yeah, I've had that before on other things. It's pretty good. So,
Anyway. So he's also having some avocado and some toast, and he has his choice of pear or these, which were given to me from Salvation Army Furniture Depot this morning.
Yeah, designed for kids,
thankful.
And people are kids at heart. Are those the little ones?
Oh, they're so cute. Yeah.
Little cookies. They're like for little fairy kids or fairy godmothers or something like that. It's very, very cute.
Yeah, and I was drinking some broth just now. It was good. And now I will read to you more about cancer. And if you missed out yesterday when I was reading the cancer notes, the camera battery ran out. So I read some good stuff yesterday. So if you missed out, then you will want to borrow the disc from your public library so that you can watch it. And because there were two that I thought were really good interviews.
Oh, that's the Ty Bollinger thing.
Yeah.
Well, all told, that series has been a real... I mean, there's a lot of, not necessarily direct, but stuff that the people aren't going in a productive direction necessarily, but you get lots of detail that you can work with, a lot of data. Right?
Yeah,
it's
you
important
get to
do
see
that.
where people have been choosing to head to try to help things. So, I enjoy it. Anyway, so Dr. Rashid Buttar, D.O., he had patients come to him having been diagnosed with cancer, and they didn't have cancer. So he thinks it's more common. They were talking about the guy who had been charged with giving people false diagnosis so that he could treat them with chemo. And I don't know. I can't remember how many they said he went to jail for quite a while, because it was quite a few people that he gave chemo to, and they did not need
They
it.
should have chucked him in jail and thrown away the key. That's
So
awful.
anyway, so they were
Because
talking
so
about
many
that.
cancer treatments, chemo treatments, cause secondary cancer.
Exactly.
Awful.
And so anyway, so it's just terrible. It's essentially he was murdering people. Just,
On the
letting
installment
time do
plan.
it, right?
Mhm.
So I don't think he got enough time.
Yeah.
He's in jail, but yep, like James says, throw away the key. And anyway, this Rashid Buttar thinks that happens more often than people know, because, I mean, you get a diagnosis of cancer and you're just like, okay, let's do something now. I got to get rid of this, right?
You're not asking for a second opinion.
No, you're not. So anyway,
Although I kind of was. I was skeptical.
yeah. Well, the thing is the opinion you got from the oncologist was your second opinion, because you had already diagnosed yourself with scleroderma, if you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
So you were trying to think, okay, well, I've went through this for years, researching what this could possibly be, and this is what I came to. So you're going to have to really convince me that it's not this, right?
Well, she was actually my dozen plus opinion, really, because there were 10 doctors who
She was
flunked
the
out.
only one who really that cared enough to try.
Well, following the footsteps of the GP.
Well, yeah, who referred to her. But, I mean, without the other guys, the people they were doing nothing. They were literally...
Oh, some of them were actively killing.
Yes.
Right?
So, anyway. He says the standard of care is accepted. So if you follow it, even if it kills people, you can't be punished for doing it. When he does not follow the standard of care and terminally diagnosed people live, the medical board doesn't approve. So the patients come to him they came to him because of the publicity that the medical board gave him by going after him. When you exercise, you stimulate lymphatic system. Don't even take your lymph node out. He says if your lymph node's hard, it's doing the job to filter out the toxins. So I don't know, like, I've been worried about this lump in my armpit, but James and I both have thought it's lymph node, and he says don't take it out. So I'm not that worried about it, even though, because I'm thinking, well, it's taking some toxins out. I don't know what I'm exposing myself to, but that's my thought on it.
I don't
is
think
that
you're
it's
exposing it. It's some bug and stuff. We're not going to say what it is, but
something, yeah. So I'm not that worried about it. I would like to try to get it to go down rather than up, but we'll see what I can do. Exercise breathes energy into you. Conscious processes 2,000 bits of information per second, and subconscious processes 400 million bits of information per second. So he says if your subconscious is constantly just dragging you down, like if you're doing the negative self-talk kind of thing, which I don't know if James does that. Me?
Whoa.
It's just whirring around in there. So, but when he says, so when you say words out loud, your subconscious starts to ingrain it. So whatever, some motivational thing. Say you're the kind of person, James has a sister who really goes for the motivational kind of messages. So she has them actually stenciled onto her walls, so that to try to keep herself feeling positive. And if you're that kind of person, you might want to not only do that, like that might be a good step, but you might want to actually read that aloud to yourself, he's saying, so that your subconscious starts to actually feel that way, whatever. RAS-CON in your brain, reticular activating system control mechanism. It's a goal-seeking mechanism. If you channel in a goal, it becomes automatic. Practice does not make perfect, but it makes permanent. Don't believe anyone who does anything that takes away your power. So he's saying, don't let some doctor tell you, say, oh, you're crazy, you have to do this, or you're nuts, or whatever. Don't let them do that. You need to maintain your power throughout the experience of your treatment somehow, and good luck.
Yeah, if that's a GP or even an internist who has not been trained in psychology, don't believe them. Rather believe that they're nuts.
Yeah. Dr. Stephen Clayman, D.C., he was a conventional sort of chiropractor and then started to learn that vaccinations aren't safe and effective in chiropractic school. So I guess they teach that in there. Mississippi leads the country in vaccination rate, and it also leads the country in lowest infant mortality rate. Highest infant mortality rate. So
that's just a correlation.
I know.
They should point that out.
Yeah. Forced medical procedures without consent. People in California are contemplating either moving from California or homeschooling. In Disneyland, no one died from the measles outbreak. So I guess this is what triggered. See, I didn't know what triggered this California thing. There was a measles outbreak in Disneyland. So that's what happened. So if you have
no one
chosen,
died from it, is that what
apparently no one died, so no big deal.
Well,
now,
who's going to Disneyland? What population? It's not old folks.
No, it's the kids.
Yeah,
but
it might be a little bit
if
more.
you have chosen to not vaccinate your children, I think that should be your right. But they shouldn't be going to public school. They shouldn't be going to Disneyland. They shouldn't be going anywhere else where there are vaccinated children, honestly. Because whether you believe that vaccinations do nothing or you don't, there's one woman on this series who said the placebo effect is more powerful than any other medicine. Okay, well maybe the rest of us are just living with the placebo effect, thinking that vaccinations actually do something. Don't take that away from us. If you want, I have no problem with people not vaccinating their children, honestly. If you have a farm and you keep your children out on a farm, you homeschool them, and they live out there, and then when they're 18, if they decide, actually I want to leave the farm and live with the rest of the population of humans, then they can decide to get vaccinated and whatever, and that's their choice. They're adults then. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with people waiting until people are adults so that they can make their own minds up about vaccinations, about religion. So if the child decides to, I don't think a child should be subjected to religion, period. It should.
Freedom of religion involves freedom from religion.
Exactly. And I have my parents raised me to be Christian. Well, my dad mostly. My mom, she just goes along with things. So, So anyway, and James had the same upbringing too, but we don't necessarily feel that that's appropriate. We think that adults should make up their mind whether they want to follow a religion or not children. So I don't think that's right. And if you want to take your children, homeschool them out in the country, never bring them to Burger King on a road trip, never go to Disneyland, and they don't go to public school, nowhere where the other children are, that's fine. But I was going to save that to the end, but I just started ranting. Anyway, CDC classifies vaccinations as necessary but unsafe. No double-blind studies have ever been done to test the safety of vaccines, yet the medical community puts down the use of apricot seeds because there haven't been double-blind studies. And I agree with you there. Double-blind studies are the way to go. So, anyway.
That's right. And why isn't the medical profession doing double-blind studies on apricot seeds?
Exactly. We're sick because we don't take the time to make our own food. Monsanto Protection Act. Monsanto needs protection from public. Most of public wants GMO-free food. 90% of those polled want GMO to be labeled, but it's not. SEACT has been shown to put people into spontaneous remission. You have to go to Mexico for most natural cures in America. Hunts in Himalayas, eat 30 to 40 apricot seeds per day, and don't get cancer. Medical science has done well with skin cancer, but they don't handle the organ cancers well. There are cleansing clinics in the U.S. Child inherits toxins from mother. There are a lot of nut allergies. One of the adjuvants in vaccines is peanut oil. Next time child has peanut, they have a reaction. There are polysorbate 80, aluminum, mercury, all neurotoxins in vaccines. Dr. Xavier Curiel, MD, Hope for Cancer. Recall healing used in emotional healing. Educate first. The patients need to be educated. Because mostly, I mean, honestly, when I had first heard about this, I was like, quackery. And I was just thinking, my God. Like, okay, we went to a fertility clinic, and they had us talk to a psychologist to see if we would be great parents. I don't know what she said to you. She hardly said anything to me, and because she interviewed us separately, because we wanted it that way. Anyway, so
it's better.
Oh yeah, but anyway, so she didn't say much to me. She just thought, oh yeah, we'd make awesome parents. Oh, that's great. Well, why did she get to evaluate us that way, to see that, you know what I mean? Like, why? I don't understand why we had to pay, I guess it was $200 or something like that, or something, for just her opinion of us, which it was not necessary. Any questions that I had for her, she did not have the answer. And she was like, oh, the doctor will explain. And I'm like, okay. And that never happened. The doctor never explained these things to me, and I was like, wow, this place is a total fly-by-night, that nothing is going to happen here, and this is garbage. But anyway, that was my experience. So anyway,
the things what happened there, it was what, $10,000 a shot.
Yeah.
So that's what it was about. I mean, these people are being persecuted or prosecuted for quackery, making money off people, some of them. And
okay, but I did not feel confident in the amount of little money that we have available to us. I did not feel that it was going to be a positive thing, giving the money to them. And
no, it rarely is when you give money to people. Of course, it would have been positive for them. No.
Yes. So anyway, but I'm really glad that this Dr. Xavier Curiel was talking about recall healing, because then I started to think, oh, this actually sounds like it might make sense. And before, I was totally closed to it. So I'm glad that I listened to him. The unknown generates fear. He says cancer of milk gland versus milk ducts. For example, he was saying that each relate to certain types of conflicts. So breasts symbolize nest in women, home, marriage, family, pets. You could get emotional attachment even to a business you build. You may even call the business your baby. And then the brain perceives it this way. So your milk gland, threat of something happening to the nest. Each organ is coded with certain types of emotional and types of stress. This factor is always there. He says 100% of the time, things happen in cycles in life. The thing that he always sees is this part, the specific type of stress for the specific type of cancer. Everything else can vary. This is why he thinks this is the most important part to heal, is the emotional kind of, anyway. Genetics is the answer. Person who receives organ and then gets more information transferred, such as a love for a type of food, for example. Like you get a whatever transplant, you get some organ, and then all of a sudden you hadn't enjoyed that food, but now you do. And so some information has somehow been passed along with this organ. Emotional and trauma passing on to child, as well as toxic chemicals. When under stress, the trauma or shock produces an overload of electricity in the brain. Body uses 90% of its energy produced to deal with the stress. Brain redirects stress from brain to another part of the body. It's not random where the stress is redirected. So different types of stress result in different types of cancers of different organs. So he's able to, like, if somebody comes in and they have, I don't know, some type of cancer, he can pinpoint, okay, you had this sort of stress, a particular type, and he can I think he can even time it. So pretty impressive. It's worth looking into, recall healing, actually, and I never would have thought of it. But Jay Matthews, Michigan, pharmacist. Daughter diagnosed 3 years ago, prognosis less than 20%, and amputation almost certain. Surgical advancements mistaken for oncological advancement. Combo of natural and cybernetic treatment. They went to emergency when she had a swelling, and the doctor was stubborn and thought he had all the answers. They kept her for observations for days, even though she was in the middle of treatment and had appointments booked. So they did not want her to do the treatments that the guy was having her in. Anyway, they didn't like that daughter was being treated naturally. So they had armed guards on his daughter in the hospital. DCFF, Child Protective Services, was threatened to get involved. He was asked to sign a consent form to sign for more CT scans, even though they'd already been done a month ago, and he's signed since he was told Child Protective Services would get involved if he didn't. So he showed the judge that they had a treatment protocol in place, but the judge said that he wasn't the expert, the oncologist was, so custody of his daughter was awarded to the state. Her wound was getting bigger and bigger with every dose. He pleaded to have his daughter at home between treatments, but they couldn't get the wound to heal. Amputation was required, so then they gave her back to the parents to find somebody to amputate it once they've destroyed it with radiation. They're wanting to take it off to the neck, including shoulder, the new doctor he went to. And so he went to another one, and they had the best insurance possible. $2.2 million was paid out to the hospital from his insurance. Even though the state had custody, it didn't come off the state's insurance. Terry Fox had the same type of cancer as his daughter 35 years ago, and his daughter had the same treatment today. There hasn't been progress. They haven't been back to the hospital, and is now treating her with alternative treatments. He knows now that he never should have taken to her emergency with the swelling. He should have went back to the alternative treatment facility. He should have had an expert to testify in court, like another oncologist. Alternative treatment centers cannot treat your children, or they'll lose their license. Your only option is to leave the country for treatment. So this guy was a pharmacist, and he was having troubles. And James and I have found that pharmacists often know more than a lot of doctors.
I don't know if I've ever had trouble with it.
No, I never have.
The pharmacists at the one large center I deal with, they're understaffed, so there's a bit of a problem there. It's not really their problem, it's a management problem. But and then there's a silly protocol. What is it? If they can't get hold of you to advise you, basically when I'm taking something like thalidomide or derived from thalidomide, advise you on the protocol, and they won't give the stuff to you. And what they were doing was, this is the protocol, I don't know who sets it, because they couldn't get hold of me to tell me the protocol. I was at fault, not they were at fault. I tried to get hold of them, couldn't get hold of them, understaffed. And you see, the big trouble is, for their, I'm not assigning blame to the pharmacists, but to the management people. I had no recourse because they were irresponsible, saying management level. However, they were seeing me as being irresponsible because they couldn't get a hold of me. I was at university, things like that. And what was the penalty? Oh yeah, you don't take this cancer or this chemo, the cancer is going to come back more quickly. The penalty is death penalty. So that's the one problem I've had with the pharmacists. But it's more of a management problem.
Yeah, it's not their problem.
But doctors, it's other way around. Same sort of thing with nurses. Pauline's talked a little bit about nurses, but generally they've been easy to get along with. See, doctors are incompetent and they're arrogant, at least at the GP level. What a combination. You see, I don't get that combination with nurses. Yeah, many times they're incompetent, they're irresponsible when it comes to dealing with germs and stuff like that, with cleanliness. But at least they're not arrogant. There's only one I had trouble with, and I've had dealings with lots and lots and lots of nurses.
The one that had her foot up on the desk all the time?
Desks.
You didn't like that nurse?
Where was that?
She always had her feet up on that desk, and it seemed like an imposition for her to do anything but sit at the nurse's station.
There was one woman who was giving trouble. I asked for a shake.
They gave milkshakes at the...
And I wasn't able to drink it. It wasn't a question of me saying, I just don't like the particular
flavor or
way
something.
it was mixed up.
Yeah.
I mean, when you got indescribable. So I asked for some water after that, and she got snippy with me, and I go, wow, that's amazing. Wonder how she'd handle it if she were in that situation. But no, there was one guy who was a social worker.
But he wasn't a nurse.
No, he was a social worker. Well, he had his feet up on
your thing, I know,
end of my bed. Well, I can't remember a nurse having her feet up.
At the nurse's station. She had her feet up at the nurse's station all the time.
Weird.
Where
was that?
Overweight.
Did you see her do it?
No, you just told me about her all the time.
This was in Calgary?
Yeah.
I can't remember. That's weird.
Okay.
I can remember this particular one that was having. She didn't want to be coming over. This is the evening shift, and there's fewer people.
I think that's the same woman.
Yes, I can't recall her having a feet up, but she was. I probably was saying she was kicked back or something like that. Maybe she was
Maybe
just on the internet, late at night, and she was annoyed. Every time I'd get up and walk around, I'd try to walk around. I'd just to try and stay active, right, to keep my bones a little bit stronger. She was always at the internet station. I don't think she was doing cancer research. So anyway, she was the one that I couldn't stand. So
yeah,
there we go. And it was her choosing. I try to be nice to nurses, don't I? I'll analyze their names. Kid around a little bit, but I won't make fun of them. A few lighthearted jokes, stuff like that. So,
anyway,
I don't know. I think I'm pretty easy to get along with when I'm in a place like
You're
that.
very social.
Yeah. So what the heck? I don't
I'm easy for nurses because if they leave me alone, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Just leave me alone.
When you're in the hospital that first time, you were doing their job, cleaning up. Yeah, man.
Well, they told me that I was told that I said, should I stay here or should I go, right? Like, should I be... And Trish said, well, the patients do better if they have a loved one stay.
Yeah, so
I
they brought
stayed.
a cot for you.
Yeah.
Stuff like that,
So, but then I realized that I don't think that it's that the patients necessarily... You see, the nurses, they don't want to have to clean up. When you have stem cell, everything goes through. So it's like a river of diarrhea.
Well, there's a lot of vomit, too.